Hello everyone, my name is Julia, also known as Julicious here on Flosstube. This is Pippin, who is squirming, but I wanted to have a kitty available for Toddler Does Stuff. You want down? Okay. And Elijah's here too to say hello, but he's not always a pickup cat, and off he goes that way. Where was I? Julia, also known as Julicious here on Flosstube. My pronouns are they and them, and I think that's it. It's Thursday, the 2nd of February, 2023, and Black Lives Still Matter. It's the second day of Black History Month, which means white folks, this is the time where we listen and learn, but we do not, okay? Yeah, I am like that. You may have noticed if you are new, I am what some folks refer to derisively as woke. Even though I really don't think I am woke. I think, especially for white folks, I think woke is a journey. I think woke is, it's kind, you know, in like anti-racism work, it's lifelong. It's not something that I ever plan to achieve completely. I think it's something that we constantly work towards imperfectly. So anyway, if you're new and I have not scared you off, welcome. If you're returning, thank you. I love you, and I'm so chuffed that I have to respond, but to a couple of people. Brittany from Ingleside Imaginarium commented on my last video. Hello, friend. And Claire from the UK, Crafty Creative Claire, left a beautiful comment on my last video that I need to respond to. And Claire, I'm so glad to hear from you. You are like one of my favorites. Like, if I ever get to the UK again, like, Claire is on the list of Flosstubers to hug and chat with. So hooray. I think today is going to be pretty short because I'm just going to kind of recap all the stitching and crafty stuff in general I did in January. I'm going to talk a little bit about plans for February, such as they are. And then we're going to talk about books because it's been a while since we've done that. So I'm going to take a quick slurp. I have some hot lemon water here. It's in a left-handed mug. This is an old one. This is like back from when my kiddo was tiny. We got this tall one, and then we have a shorter one with Yoda on that just says, "Your father he is." So, because we're that kind of family. Hot lemon water with some honey. Okay, so my new year, new start, which is my only start for 2023. We're doing no new starts except for this one for 2023, which I am stitching along with Christine, Calico Whimsy. This is an RTO kit. So it looks like the title is "With the Flavor of Salt, Wind, and Sun," but I've noticed if you Google that, you don't necessarily see this image. So I'm wondering if it's one in a series. At the bottom it says ART period MH15, and I'm wondering if maybe that will help you more if you're looking for this. But it is this sweet seagull peering into a window, And as I have said before, in the world of my imagination, this seagull is in Newfoundland, and it lives in the world of Annie Proulx's novel, The Shipping News. And this seagull is looking in the window of the newspaper office. So that's my story. Beautiful, beautiful kit. I'm not even mad at the Ada. I mean, it's deceptively dense. This has got to be, I think this is a 16 count Ada, because it's obviously not 18 count, but it's obviously not 14 count, but I don't think it's tiny enough to be 18. So here's where I am. I started here. The first thing I stitched with the Sweet Seagull, I started the back stitching in his wings, but I didn't finish because when there's back stitching like this, I like to back stitch as I go as a rule, but sometimes you have to kind of wait until you do stitching around certain objects before you can finish it all. So I've reached the top. All the stitching here is done. All the stitching from here to here is done. I have a little bit more up here to finish, and then work on the wall coming down. This is the top page. I had these grand plans that I was going to stitch this whole thing in January. Nope. I do want to finish this year though, and I'm not yet tired of it, so we're going to keep plugging along on this. First time I've ever stitched on an RTO kit. No complaints really. Easy to follow. I'm not going to show you, but the pattern itself is nice and big. So I don't find myself squinting. No complaints. Really loving it. Hopefully Christine will share her progress on hers soon. And then I also, for one of my Year of Whips projects, I worked on this a little bit this morning too, on like January 29th or 30th. I pulled out Loose Rooster, just because the seagull is sort of my living room project now, because I like to spend time with my family in the evenings while I stitch. And I was sitting in my office, and this was sort of like, wanted something in my office that was kind of brainless. And so I put one length of navy floss in the belly of the rooster. And then this morning I filled in some orange, but I plan to finish this in February because there's really not much left to do. So this is a kit. It was a limited edition full kit for this drum. I don't know if I like the drum, the shape of it, but I love the fabric they chose for finishing. So to be determined. This probably will not get fully finished this year, but the cross stitching will get finished sooner rather than later. What else did I do? I finished some knitting. I finished just last night the Frosty Twilight cowl that is I kitted this up when I went to my OG local yarn shop in my hometown last summer, and there was a model of this stitched in kind of like a purpley, blurpley color. near the cash register, and I had walked in and I was like, I want to knit that. And Cynthia, who owns the shop, was like, okay, well, the yarn for it is over in that corner. Go pick out 2 colors. I recommend that you do the cream/white for your accent color, but you know, pick whatever else you want, and I will I'll get the pattern for you and print it out. So I'm really happy with it. I love a good color, like geometric color work, Fair Isle. I think it's really nice. This is a worsted weight tweedy wool. It's soft and squishy. This has not been washed and blocked yet. Let's see how it looks. I'm hoping it might be a little longer once it gets washed, like a little longer, not this way, but this way. Yeah, this isn't scratchy at all. So you could do that with it if you wanted. Keep the old ears warm, or you could just snuggle up like this with it. If you like this and you think, oh man, that's really lovely. They did such a nice job and it looks so soft and warm. If you like it and you want it, you should buy ducks for the Duck Derby, hosted by Emily C. of Eclectic Possessions workplace, which is Advocates for Children in Cartersville, Georgia. This is the last year they're going to be having Duck Derby. And so I decided, while I was watching Emily's Whip Parade and knitting on this, that I was going to donate this as a Duck Derby prize. So, and I will probably knit something else to send along, because it doesn't have to go out till April. But anyway, yeah, if you want this, watch Emily's space and buy ducks. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. What am I doing in February? Besides stitching on a seagull, stitching on a rooster. Good question. Colette the Highway Stitcher is hosting a sale in February called Full Coverage February. And it's the sort of thing that you can just make your own. And so I am going to stitch full coverage on the weekends. Completely no pressure, just do what I can. On the Gamer, I think what I'm gonna try to do, because I'm still trying to figure out how to fix the issues. Although Stitchin' Mommy suggested that I find a really cheap Amazon Kindle Fire for Pattern Keeper, and I discovered that I had forgotten that my mom for Hanukkah one year, probably her birthday actually, had gotten my kiddo a Kindle Fire, just a basic one. This is probably about 4 years ago. Anyway, she doesn't really use it anymore. So first I'm gonna see if I can get Pattern Keeper to work on that. And if not, I think she said like a basic Kindle Fire is like $50. So, and I still have some Hanukkah money from my in-laws, so that will work out very nicely. So anyway, for the Gamer, what I'm gonna do is I'm probably just gonna fill in the dark gray because it's pretty mindless. And the counting's really easy. So, but when I'm not working on the Gamer, I'm also going to, if I can get Pattern Keeper to work, is I'm going to start doing a bit more work on Quick Stitch Iris, which I am stitching 2 over 1 full cross on. I think this is 25 count, easy count Lugana. It might be 28, but I think it's 25. Maybe it is 28. I don't have time to count right now. I'm stitching this cross-country page by page, and it's a relatively small heaven and earth design. So I'm gonna get some work done on that because I would like to have this done within the next few years because the design just reminds me of a dear friend who I don't see very often, and I would like to stitch this for her. So that is the plan for full coverage February in my house. Knitting wise, still working on that. I have this yarn that I bought a couple years ago from Valkyrie Fibers Tahoe, who I've talked about before. She's one of my favorites. She did an Avatar: The Last Airbenders series, and this is called Jasmine Dragon. And I bought this with the intention of knitting something for my partner, Josh, because number one, these are colors that he appreciates, and number two, and if you've watched Avatar, you'll get this, and if you haven't, just trust me, he loves Uncle Iroh. Loves Uncle Iroh. And Jasmine Dragon. So we're gonna, there's a hat that Ann P has knit a couple of that you can knit in any weight of yarn with pretty much, the pattern gives you options for gauge, but you cast on at the very top, increase the crown, and then just knit and knit and knit and knit and knit until you want to cry, and then decrease. And then what you do is you have a double knit hat, then you just shove one half up inside the other half, and you have a nice basic cozy warm hat. So I'm thinking that that's what I'm going to do with this yarn, and if I run out of this yarn before it's long enough, I have a whole bunch of fingering weight scraps, and no one's going to see them inside the hat. So that's the plan for this yarn. It would be nice to get that started this month. I could also knit socks, you know. They're a nice, just, you know, they're good for waiting in line and waiting in waiting rooms at the doctor's office, dentist's office, watching TV. We're not a big TV family, but we occasionally like to watch the series of something. Like if we watch, say, Avatar: The Last Airbender or a Studio Ghibli film, it's nice to have just a plain vanilla sock to work on. Want to hear about some books? This is fast for me, but that's okay. Not everyone likes a Flosstube movie. Sometimes it's nice to just have a little bit. So I mainlined all 3 of Alison Bechdel's graphic novels, one of which was a reread. If you're not familiar with Alison Bechdel, she is the author of a long-running indie comic strip that was kind of in underground papers. I think she started in '83, and it ran for 25 years, maybe 87 and ran for 25 years. It is the strip called Dykes to Watch Out For. So it ran in a lot of underground independent LGBTQ newspapers, gay publications, as well as on her eventual website. But what really made her kind of a household name was her graphic novel. There's Elijah. Hi, buddy. Elijah. Elijah. Hi. I don't know that you can see him. There he is. Hi, sweet boy. Okay. Sorry. Cat ADD. She wrote a graphic novel memoir called Fun Home, which is essentially her kind of working through her father's suicide. He took his own life when she was 20, when she was in college. And that book has always kind of resonated with me, mostly because she grew up queer and awkward in rural central Pennsylvania. I too grew up queer and awkward in central Pennsylvania, about 20 years behind her. So it was very familiar. She lived near Lock Haven University, for those of you who know that landmark, and her mother used to live in Bellefonte. And I know Ann P. knows where that is. I grew up in State College. So it resonated. I have not lost a parent to suicide, but other bits of it were very, I related to. And it's not, I think we all think of graphic novels as quick sort of cheat reads. Hers are not. They are dense. They are wonderful, but they are dense. So she makes references to authors that she has read or read while working through the subject matter she's talking about in her books. And so you kind of get the Cliff's Notes along with her, but then if you're me, you feel compelled to go seek out the source material and read it yourself. So I reread Fun Home, and then I read her second graphic novel, which is about her relationship with her mother, called Are You My Mother? Which I liked a lot, not quite as much as Fun Home, but I liked it a lot. You'll see as I'm talking about some other books, I'm kind of fascinated by folks who have maybe not perfect relationship with their mothers, in fact, quite imperfect relationship with their mothers, but ultimately positive relationships with their mothers. That's not something I have experienced in my life, so it's fascinating in an odd way. But I really liked that. And then when I got that book, when I got Are You My Mother from the library, the librarian looked at me and said, have you read her latest book? And I said, her latest book? And he said, yes, it's about exercise. And I said, it's about exercise? So of course I had to grab it from my library, and these are all going back today. But her third and most recent graphic novel, published in 2021, is called The Secret to Superhuman Strength. And it is about, it's about her fitness, her lifelong fitness journey, yes, but it's also about her work, being a workaholic, and how that has affected romantic relationships throughout her life. And again, working through her parents, her mother's death, the success of Fun Home. And because of this, now on my reading list are Jack Kerouac's The Dharma Bums. And I'm actually currently reading upstairs Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. I loved this book. It was inspiring. I have a whole bunch of fitnessy things that I want to try now, like cross-country skiing and snowshoeing, and she's very affirming of my gender-neutral ways, you know, as a fellow LL Bean aficionado. And yoga and all of that. And it makes you want to go to northern Vermont and just walk around in the woods. I'm not explaining it very well, but I would recommend you go through, if any of this sounds interesting, I would recommend you go through the Alison Bechdel catalog. This is Alison Bechdel of the Bechdel test for media, where it passes the Bechdel test if you have two characters who are women who have a conversation that has nothing to do with the men in their lives. Men in general. I mean, I think it would work if they were discussing or critiquing like a male scientist or something, but if you have two women who are just fully actualized human beings who are having a conversation that is not about pleasing men or being romantically involved with men, or it's a good test. Like the trailer for Rogue One passed the Bechdel test, and it was awesome. Anyway, that was a long ramble, but I love Alison Bechdel, and I would recommend you check her out. And you could go to her website if you want to read little snippets of dykes to watch out for. There are a couple of compilations of them, more than a couple. There are volumes of them all chronologically, and then there's one that's a little more curated by her called The Essential Dykes to Watch Out For. So I am currently reading, I just begun a few days ago, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It's about Zen Buddhism. Surprise, surprise. I will let you know what I think of that when I'm finished with it. I am 75% of the way through this other book that needs to go back to the library, called Crying in H Mart, that I'm really enjoying. It's by Michelle Zauner, who's a Korean, mixed race, Korean American. Her mom is from Seoul and her dad is from Trenton? East Coast. She grew up in Eugene, Oregon, but yeah, her dad's from like Trenton or Newark or Jersey City, one of those. This is about, it's a memoir of her mother's cancer diagnosis, dying process, and the author's grieving process, and never feeling like she fits in, like she's too American for the expat Korean community in Eugene, and she's too Korean for the American kids, which I feel like is probably kind of a universal experience for the children of two different cultures. I really like it. I think it's very unflinching. Like if you're at all trepidatious about reading about someone's stage 4 stomach cancer diagnosis, maybe proceed with caution. But it's also very beautiful in her, trying what she feels is too late, trying to learn more about her heritage, like cooking, like Korean cooking. And what tickles my fancy so much is the author lives in Philadelphia. Her local H Mart, which is a Korean grocery store chain, her local H Mart is my local H Mart. We go to the same H Mart. I just love that. So she talks about food. She talks about her relationship with her mother. She was apparently a hellion as a teenager, and it was really strained. But then them coming around to each other, after she goes off to college. She's in Philly because she went to Bryn Mawr. So I'm not finished with it yet, but I would recommend it. And again, just my perpetual kind of morbid curiosity about people who have good relationships with their moms. And yeah, I'm not quite done with it, so I don't have any big revelations about it, but if you heard good things about this book, I would echo those. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading. We're about half an hour in. What am I going to read next? It's going to depend on what I can find at the library. I still want to track down the Dharma Bums. It's Black History Month, so I kind of feel like I need to read something by a Black author, be it James Baldwin, be it Octavia Butler, be it Michelle Obama, be it Maya Angelou. So we'll see. That's what I have. Thank you so much for your patience, for spending time with me. If you found me and you stuck around for the whole video, thank you. If you're a returning video, thank you again so much. It's a weird winter, at least here in my neck of the woods. It's a weird winter. It's too crappy to do things like go running or go hiking, but it's not crappy enough to do things like snowshoeing or skiing. It's the dead gray heart of winter. So, but spring's coming. So I will see you in March, or at the very end of this month, probably in very early March. I hope that you are well. I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're being kind, not only to other people, but to yourself. And I'll catch you around the internet, folks. Take good care, okay?